Next.
What are we charging for a lot now?
I don't know, I've sent the paperwork, but I don't know.
Mr. Jones may have the answer. 5,000? 500.
Yeah, a double lot is $1,010, because I bought one.
Next project would be $15,000 as requested for ongoing repair of municipal building roofs, unnecessary to prevent damage. This work would include walking areas on flat roofs, repairs and maintenance of roof drains, various roof components, and asbestos abatement. The photograph that you see on the left-hand side is the library. If you look very hard, you'll see the drain pipe coming down. Just above that drain pipe to the left, you can see a dark shingle. That's a piece of slate that's fallen down and wedged just above the storm gutter. And so it's those type of things that we look to try to avoid. The picture on the right is an example of roof damage that's occurred in the past. We have reduced this amount of money. In the past, the town has requested $25,000 for ongoing roof maintenance. You'll note that the reason why it's been reduced is the fact that one of the major culprits is this building. And this building did receive a new roof this past summer to the tune of $500,000. And so we certainly do not anticipate that there will be any issues with this building. And if there are issues with this building, it will be covered under the warranty that we will obtain from the contractor and the manufacturer. So it is really a way of addressing all of our other municipal buildings and making sure that we're staying on top of roof issues and ensuring that problems stay small and don't get to the point where we have to do the roof renovation. Next project. Next project is the DPW septic system. There was a proposal that was put forward last year and was not funded. It was for pretty much the same project, although at the time we were unaware of some of the details that necessitated this request. The amount requested is $30,000, and the funding will be used to replace a 1,000-gallon tank with a larger 1,500-gallon tank. The tank will comply with the state Title V code. It will also include pumps and leaching field repairs. The existing tank is cracked. The bottom of it has a crack in it. That crack doesn't allow it for infiltration of groundwater during certain times of the year. And the existing pipe to the leaching field is also broken. So we have a system that is in desperate need of attention. The amount that's requested here is fairly modest in terms of the fact that I'm sure the town has not put much into this since the facility was constructed. We will proceed, if this project were to be approved, proceed with the work being done, and get the permits through the Board of Health, and basically get the work done as soon as possible to ensure that there's no further problems down the road.
Is there a question on that?
Yes.
Yes,
Mr.
thank you.
Eno.
Mr. Valiakonis, I'm just wondering, and Steve, refresh my memory. Years ago, when we were looking at putting an addition onto the DPW garage and moving all our mechanical services one area, am I correct, Steve? Wasn't there an issue where we couldn't go in one direction because of the septic tank? And I'm wondering, has this been thought out? Maybe we should move it now because of maybe future expansion out there? Do you recall that, Steve? I do recall that the septic tank prohibited us from going in one certain direction, which I believe was the easiest way to go, too. So I don't know if that's something we could just look into. It may be cost prohibitive to move the whole, but it sounds like we're doing the whole thing over anyways. Just a thought. I don't know.
Just check and see if it's in.
Is there a diagram where it's located?
No, it's just looking for.
If that's the back of the building, what we're looking at, it's probably not an issue, but if that's the side, I remember we were talking about blowing out the left side of the building.
Leach
plot.
field, so
They've been in the back too, Joe. We were talking about having drive-through bays and
Right.
expanding the bays
Right.
too. It might have been.
Right. Yeah, right.
The proposal unfortunately isn't clear in terms of the.
Yeah.
precise location of that system.
So that amount may change, and Joe's right, if we're gonna be talking about, we are gonna be talking about future expansion of this facility down there at some point in time. We really should,
I think it's something we should look
anticipate.
at. Yeah.
You also are talking about
The other question I have is, are we
Yes.
going to be contracting out this work, or are we gonna be doing most of it ourselves?
My understanding is what we probably would do is look to contract it out, versus doing it on our own.
Because I would think that, I mean, we certainly have the equipment and manpower, and again, depending upon the time of year, I mean, obviously during the summer months, we get an awful lot of extra projects done. We have the men work evenings and, because of daylight, evenings and weekends. I don't know if it's cost effective or not. Again, this type of a project could be done, on weekends as opposed to the evenings in the fall, spring when the daylight isn't with us.
We'll definitely look into the location and see whether it can be done later. Absolutely.
Yes, Sean.
If the town were to move forward with the wastewater project over the next year or two, is this one item that would not need to be done?
Conceivably, that's correct, yes. Yes.
What was that again?
If the town were to move forward with the wastewater project over the next year or two, is this an item that would not need to be done?
This phase would be,
It'd be
the
out
second
there.
or third phase, it'd be out there a little bit.
No, I understand, but if we were to stop that project the next year or two,
You,
So we
you
hold
might
off on this item.
instead make a repair or something.
Correct.
Versus,
replacement, instead of a replacement of the system.
I guess our problem is the fact that we've got a broken tank. I'm sure we really address that, I'm not sure.
all right. Next,
is upgrading of emergency lighting. This would be in all of our town buildings. The amount of the request is for $12,000. It would not only be needed for upgrading the emergency lighting, but also upgrading the existing fire extinguishers. And this would provide that we meet the fire code. This project is scheduled for 2009. It's not something that we deferred, but a lot of our existing emergency lighting is quite old, as these photographs indicate. It's out of date, and our goal is to do so at a fairly inexpensive cost for the safety of those people who lines out public. Next is the administrative vehicles. You'll note that the number has grown from 2 to 3, and the reason why it's grown from 2 to 3 is what I've done is I've included the fire chief's request in here, and I do have some photographs that he was kind enough to drop by earlier this evening. Document the condition of his vehicle. They're all the same. What I can do is address his vehicle first. The fire administrative vehicle is a 2001 Chevy Tahoe. It's got 118,000 miles on it. The proposal's been put forward in the past that we should proceed with replacement. It's been proposed in the last 2 fiscal years. It has not been funded. The new vehicle that would be purchased, the recommended amount would be $40,000. It would be a vehicle of the size and type necessary for the transport of persons and equipment through adverse road conditions, including a towing capacity. The reason why the cost is a little bit higher is it needs to be updated so that it includes all of the fire department equipment and also the mobile command center that's part of the fire chief's vehicle. That's his proposal. There are also 2 other vehicles that we've included in here. If you could just separate out the fire vehicle, the total request for the 2 administrative vehicles would be $55,000. And that would be for the purchase of 2 4x4 all-weather SUV type vehicles, and they would be used for the code inspection, which is the building department, and health departments. Presently, those departments use their personal vehicles. These requests have been put forward in the past 2 fiscal years, 2006 and 2007. Each time, they have not necessarily risen to the top that merits funding. Each of these, the 2 departments that are shown here, the code inspection and the building department, we do reimburse the employees for the use of their personal vehicles. You'll see that by proceeding with this proposal, we would save a total of $13,980, which is paid out in employee vehicle allowances at the present time.
That's the annual amount
That
that's
is
paid
the
out?
annual amount, and that's the total amount for the code inspection and building, health departments. The other thing that would be very helpful is it provides for easy identification of town inspectors and marked vehicles when they're on private property. There's always a concern, when you see a vehicle pull up, you're not sure it's a town vehicle, these would be clearly marked as being town vehicles.
And the anticipated life of such a vehicle?
Not less than 5 years.
So at that rate, the savings alone would more than pay for the lease or,
Some of the, we have a building inspector, assistant building inspector, I mean, you're only talking, so we're still gonna have some sort of reimbursement, I would expect, for some of our inspectional services. So this $14,000 or thereabouts that we're talking about, that's all the reimbursements currently for all the inspectional services departments?
Just 2 people. Just the 2 departments.
Just the 2 departments?
Just the
Okay.
2 departments.
So there still will be a reimbursement for other personnel?
And I figured because the vehicles would be dedicated for those departments, that there might be some sharing, but it's difficult to predict, how that would take place right now. But I would anticipate that, for example, the building department vehicle would be available for the inspectors if it weren't being used.
Just a couple of questions.
Sean and then
Oh, I'm
Joe.
sorry, go ahead, Sean, I didn't see your hand up.
What is the need for code department, health department to have a 4x4 SUV?
I was gonna ask that
Could it
question
not
as
be
well.
different type of vehicle that's less expensive?
Yes, it could be. And originally, you see that we have something that's more fuel efficient.
Well, like an escape hybrid or something?
Yeah, that's very true. The concern that we had was that the vehicles could access, be available in any type of weather and get through some of the more difficult terrain that exists in town. We could certainly do that with a small vehicle.
But I think part of the argument that we've heard before is that a lot of the sites that they go on to, even if it's just a single-family home site, the conditions are pretty poor, particularly at the beginning of the inspectional services, inspectional process. There isn't any hot top, there isn't any, so that the wear and tear on the vehicles can be pretty difficult. In addition to the fact, if you had these subdivisions of 40Bs going on, and you're in regular cycling, as far as cycling through these things, it's, 4x4s stand up a little better.
I just want to be clear, Greg. Right now, with our building inspector and health inspector, we're paying $13,900 in stipends for their vehicles?
That's correct.
I didn't realize it was that high.
are you talking about $400 to $500 per month?
Yeah,
it still
doesn't come to,
Well,
Well, it comes
multiply it
pretty
by
close,
12
yeah.
times
Okay.
2.
And secondly, I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, if this does go through, these would not be take-home vehicles, correct?
You're correct, Mr. Chairman.
They would be, okay.
That's correct.
I mean, other than the fire chief, because
Yeah, the fire chief is-
he uses his to
He's
respond to.
24 hours a
Right,
day.
right.
Absolutely. But the others would not necessarily.
The others would not be.
Next, 35,000 gross vehicle weight dump truck for the DPW. This would replace what's known as Truck 4, which is a 1990, a 17-year-old vehicle. That's a picture of it. Looks pretty good from that distance. But I've been